Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 123 of the Revive Yourself podcast. Here we go.
Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Have you got a health issue that just won't go away no matter what you try? Then welcome to the Revive Yourself podcast, where we reveal the secrets to long-lasting health by getting to the root cause of problems that no one else is talking about. So you can have more energy, clear skin, healthier hair, a leaner physique, more confidence, and most importantly, do the things you love and live the life you deserve. Here's your host, Ryan Martin.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the show. Episode 123. So, hope everyone's good. Hope you're all well. Getting some good feedback from the last show with Calvin Which is a great episode. And actually all the episodes recently, we've been getting some good feedback, which is great. People are still commenting on the episodes from Nico Becker as well, and Stevie Wright, so that's epic. So, glad you're enjoying them. And if you can, you guys, get this out to as many people as you can, Like, comment, share it with people, because I know this information is going to help so many people's lives out there. So many people are struggling with different things. And we've got a good show today. Just before we get on to that, I just want to say, as always, if you head over to www.reviveyourself.co and you click on our shop, which is actually going to be getting revamped soon. I want to make it a lot more user-friendly for you guys. But we still have got the highest quality supplements on the planet there. Well, if you're looking for anything under the Evolution Organics banner, the Finchley Clinic banner, so many high quality things, especially if you're looking for, we've got the Living Fuel Super Berry and Super Green, which is the best all-round product on the market bar none. 2 scoops of that is the equivalent of $260 worth of organic produce. It's phenomenal. And we've got also, all the other tinctures and things that boost your immune system, help to repopulate your gut. We've actually got some really exciting affiliate links as well coming up. Obviously, I do get a little bit of commission for every time you guys do spend for it, but one, it helps us just with the show, and two, it's just because I just want to get this stuff out to you. It's the best stuff on the market, and most people don't even know where to look. And even if they did type it in Google for high quality stuff now, the algorithms are making it so they you don't see certain things. If you just realise that Google has become actually in cahoots with a pharmaceutical company. There's lots of natural products and organic foods, etc. They won't even be shown anymore. They're saying it's all nonsense. It's because they're in bed with these companies. And I'm actually stopping using Google. I'm actually starting to use Ecosa. And for every so many hits they get on their site as a search engine, they actually plant trees. They're very, very green orientated. And also, if you head on over to www.essentialwizardry.com and you buy their essential oils, you get 10% off with the code REVIVE in small letters. And if you're looking for some blue blocking glasses for the evening so you can get to sleep, if you head over to blueblocks.com, that's BLUBLOX.com, and you put in the code REVIVE, you'll get 10% off of your blue blocking glasses there. And we're actually working on getting them both on our site as we speak. Otherwise, we've got our whole house filtration systems at www.reviveyourself.co on our shop. They're 1, 2, 3 or 4 bedded houses, whatever you want, soft or hard water. These are the best filtration systems I've found on the market. Coming from Aquatea, they get 99.9% of all nasties out, which is phenomenal. And also we've got our electromagnetic frequency blocking devices from Aries Tech down the bottom too. Even upgraded it to have their ones that stop 5G. And anyone who's done any research into 5G, no matter what the mainstream tell you, because they've been paid to tell you, the research is out. It's been out for 3G and for 4G too, but 5G, instead of being megahertz, is actually gigahertz. It's more powerful, to the power of 100. They're trying to get it in every classroom, in every car. They want the cars to speak to each other. This stuff is deadly, and you don't want this near you. It's going to be doing stuff to us at a molecular DNA level, and the molecular damage that it's just. The armies have been using this sort of technology for years to try and, to infiltrate the enemy and just to scatter their thoughts, scatter their energy, and this is not good news. So Aries Tech have got a electromagnetic blocking devices and blocks 5G as well. I'm actually trying to get one of their guys onto the show as soon as possible so we can dig deep into their research. But anyway, on to today's show. We have got Warren Williams back on the show, and we're talking all about, well, actually we talk about a few things. One of the things that we talk about is gender. We go deep into this whole thing about Facebook having 76 genders, which is, from my point of view, absolute nonsense. There's only 2 genders. Obviously there's a spectrum, but 2 genders. And we also talk about corporate wellness, which is interesting. So without further ado, here's Warren. Enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side.
It isn't very strong, so it might break up.
Okay, so we wanted to make sure that our chat got the full coverage it deserved.
Yeah, it was given its just due.
Given it's just me. Yes, that's right. That's fair enough. It's very nice of you, Warren. You're such a weirdo.
I'm in good company.
Well, you are. Yeah, it takes one to know one and all that. It's very, very true. But you've been a coach. Do you have yesterday? You had the HCL1? Did you? Of course.
No, I was in Leicester doing a presentation to a corporate company, Taylor Wimpey.
Okay.
House builders. So I was doing a presentation. So that was the whole day because I had to drive up to Leicester and deliver a 3-hour keynote presentation at their half-year meeting. So that was cool because there was like 150 people there.
Yeah.
And they have 5,000 staff. So they're basically trying to introduce wellness into workplace, as you know, a lot of people are trying to do nowadays, moving into wellness because they understand productivity suffers when people are sick.
Well, yeah, exactly. And what did you just cover the basics, dear? Is that what? Is it like a talk you give? Is it quite like a talk you give quite a lot, or is it something you put up just for them?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I've done a few times. It was what I called it wellness or work-life balance in the workplace. But sorry, I termed it work-life integration in the workplace. Something I'd heard from Tony Robbins some years ago, that he said it's not really work-life balance because that still means you work and then you have a life afterwards. It should really be work-life integration, where you're able to live a well life whilst working as opposed to after you finish work.
Right.
So it's work-life integration, yeah.
And most people's work-life balance is not balanced, right? So it makes sense. So the work-life integration. Do these companies, are they? I mean, do they just give it lip service, or are they actually like keen to maybe give people like a 15-minute nap in the afternoon, get yoga going, get things like meditation going, have good foods on their menus, like have exercise regimes, or is it just people just like the whole sort of, I feel like gay pride parade, everyone just jumps on the bandwagon and no one actually cares that much. It's just all about moral posturing.
Yeah, well, the guy that, the managing director that contacted me, he's actually a very big advocate of Paul Chek. So he reached out to me, and he's read How to Eat, Move and Be Healthy, and he's massively into the 4 doctors. Like when I spoke to him on the phone, he had a great knowledge of Paul and the 4 doctor systems. So he's highly motivated to bring actions into the workplace as opposed to just give people knowledge, like you said. It's like when people go to church 6 days of the week, they're just doing whatever they want, and then they think, well, I go to church on Sunday for a couple of hours, and I'm righteous or I'm spiritual, but then, like you said, it's just lip service, but they're not actually doing the actions in the week. So yeah, there are definitely companies that like that, but because of his energy and the fact that the CEO really wants to push wellness in the workplace and to actually help improve wellness in the company, it's being pushed from high up. It's just that the people who are high up in that company really want it to happen. It's now just about getting the workers to add it into their lifestyles. So, I mean, and as a note, there was 2 people in the audience, and the managing director told me beforehand just to be aware that there were 2 people in the audience that actually had cancer. So there's quite a few people that had vested interest in wanting to be well. So I just really had to give them really practical things that they could do, such as you said, taking what we call peace points, which is like a 1 or 2 minutes break every hour where you just sit there and you just breathe for a minute or 2, which is something that everyone can do. And things like if you're at work and you're going to have an hour break and there's a park 5 minutes down the road, just walk to the park. You're still on your break, but now you're getting outside. Or rather than seeking sugar drinks, just have electrolytes, have a coconut water or something like that. So I was trying to give them really simple things and things that they'd have to have an excuse as to why they can't do it, as opposed to a reason. And excuses are just that, excuses. They're not reasons. They're just not good enough. So, yeah. So I mean, it went down well. Everybody really liked it. So what we're going to do is look at how we can start implementing it. So I've got some ideas about how we can do monthly things where we kind of, and I got them all to fill out questionnaires, dietary questionnaires, and food intolerance forms at the start. And I actually interacted with them. And at the end of every section of the 4 doctors, I asked them questions. And they all got the answers, like how many times does the average person in the Western world chew their food? And they were all getting the answers right. I said, list 5 fruits that are yellow, and so they were paying attention because they were giving me back the right answers. So it sounds like they were all kind of on board. So that's quite good to see that a lot of companies are moving forward with integrating wellness.
Or how many times does the average person chew their food? 2, 3 times?
Yes, 4 to 8 times per mouthful.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And we should be chewing it into a paste, right? Instead of the Taoists, drink your food and chew your water.
Yeah, liquefied. Yeah. So typically it's about 30. But the African Maasai tribe are known to chew their food 100 times per mouthful.
That's a lot. I say it's a lot. If you when you actually start chewing your food properly, your jaw really starts to ache.
Yeah, it can do, especially if you're not used to using it to that degree. And funnily enough, you'll start to realize how long it does take to eat.
Yeah.
It's rushing when you have to eat food slowly. You realize how much time you have to devote to the process of eating.
That was one of the things I was going to say to you as well. Like, one of the things to implement would be like, you say get up and go for a walk. That's really important. Or just not eating your food at your desk, not eating in a rush, like taking your time to not be staring at a screen while you're eating. All these little things all add up, right? You know, all these little things add up. You say breathing and getting away from your desk, going out in nature, or maybe. It's interesting, like you said, yeah. It's the thing that really puzzles me. You know, like you get. This is why companies like Google and stuff, much as I'm not a fan of Google for certain reasons, like they have like nap pods where you can go and have 10-15 minute nap, because you're going to have a 10-15 minute nap, your productivity can go through the roof. Like they've shown that 75% of work is done between the hours of 9 and 12, and only 25% get done from 1 to 5.
Oh wow!
And that's because like obviously people are after lunch, they come down, they're a bit tired, they have energy slump. And so if you give someone 10-15 minute nap, they're going to be so much more productive than sitting there fighting away the sleep, you know, fighting away their energy, like when they're just trying to at the desk. You see people sit there falling asleep, almost like trying to hide it. Give them 10-15 minutes nap, and they'll be well, I don't know if you've seen that thing that Ben Greenfield was talking about from Nucalm. It's a new technology. Have you heard of it? Nucalm?
No, I haven't.
It's a biohacking device in certain sorts, but it allows the brain. What it does, the device. So you put GABA on your neck, and you put this device on, and it gives you 3 hours of sleep in 20 minutes.
Okay.
And it's and the technology behind it, the scientists behind it, has made it where things like Brain FM and certain other things, they can get you into that sort of state, but they become less effective over time because the brain gets used to these patterns. But this Nucalm device, the guys designed it so it's never the same pattern, so the brain can never pick it up, can never get used to it, which is really interesting. But that's for for people that maybe on planes or don't get enough sleep. It's key. But most people, I feel like, would hugely benefit from naps throughout the day. It would really boost them.
Yeah, and then the other thing about work and productivity and hours, putting in hours, is this whole thing about nowadays a lot of companies actually have beds in the workplace so that people can actually just stay at work and sleep and wake up and then they're still at work. That's mad. There's just no reset because they're so focused on putting in hours to get a result, which is financial gain as opposed to life gain. And so when do you actually have a true life-work balance? You don't, because life is work. And as we both know about that saying, how people sacrifice their health for their wealth. And in the last few years of their last 6 months of their life, they sacrifice their wealth for their health. Paul Chek, our good buddy Paul Chek, was saying recently that what he found in the study was that in like people that are in the death ward, as we call it, terminal ward, that when they are at death's door or have been told that, there's not much chance left, and maybe in the last 5 days of their life, that they typically spend £500,000 in the last 5 days of their life trying to survive, and they leave their family, their loved ones, bankrupt, trying to survive. And a lot of that is through experimental procedures, because they're so desperate to live, because they've obviously had lots of bad choices. I mean, not all of them. Some of them might have been hit by a truck or something, but for the most part, and a lot of it is just them neglecting their own well-being and then reflecting on that by trying to throw as much money as they can. And ultimately, they mostly die, but they've left their family bankrupt in those last 5 days. They're spending more in the last 5 days than in their whole lifetime. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's something you said. I was going to talk about with Nico a few podcasts ago. I was talking a bit about like, what is success to you? Is it loads of money and poor posture and bad health and terrible skin and a big house and a big car, but like no relationship with your kids, no relationship with anyone else? Or is success, having a balance throughout your life, enjoying the job that you do, even if you're not a millionaire, being able to go outside when you want, eating good food, having good posture, having a good body. What is success? It's like in Western, or at least our country, us in America. America's even worse than over here. Like America, you are your job. Like people literally identify with their job. They work themselves to the bone. It's like, as a badge of honor to be tired and burnt out. And it's like, for me, sometimes I look at success, I want this monetary stuff, and I understand it. Everyone wants. Ideally, I want to have my work station set up so I've got everything now, and it'll come and it will come. But it's like sometimes I can get up in the morning and I can go for a walk for a couple of hours. People can't do that, that's success. Being able to just take a morning off, or being able to work from the beach or whatever. It's a huge thing in terms of people need to see what is success. And I think a lot of the times people's success isn't even what they think success is. They just follow society's or what their parents feel like success should be. People become doctors or certain professions because their parents wanted them to be. It's a huge problem, right?
Yeah, I mean, the saying that encapsulates that is, I'm sure we've said this before, success is getting what you want, happiness is wanting what you get.
Yes, that's a really good quote. I think who put that out?
I can't remember. I can get you the quote at some point when you can post it.
Success is wanting.
Success is getting what you want. Happiness is wanting what you get.
Yeah. I get it.
There's so many people that they can get. I mean, like when you look at a lot of these people that talk about hustling, just hustling, and if you're not successful, you're not working hard enough. That is not correct, because they're basically imploring you to not sleep.
Yeah.
And just something I was saying to the guys in Leicester the other day as well was that, I don't know if you've seen the interview of Schwarzenegger did within the last year, and it's called The Speech That Broke the Internet. And he was talking about being productive and success, and obviously Schwarzenegger is a very successful man, not just from movies, but from other business.
Life,
exactly, life. And he said, he was like, if you sleep 9 hours, sleep faster. And it was funny, he was like saying sleep fast, which meant don't sleep 9 hours. Sleep faster, maybe sleep 5 hours so you can become more productive. And in essence, I understood what he meant, but it's obviously wrong because...
Oh, I get it, yeah. Gary Vee says the same stuff as well.
Exactly. Gary was one of the people I was referring to.
I look at Gary Vee and I'm like, you don't look well, mate.
Yeah, he's 100 miles an hour as well.
So Schwarzenegger was saying that in his speech to break the internet. Like, I bet, and everyone sort of jumps on board thinking, "This is what I've got to do." Yeah,
I've got to sacrifice my life for my money. And yeah, as they say, richest man in the graveyard. And Steve Jobs. So many people say, "I'd love his money," but would you love to live 54 years only, like he did?
Yeah, that's the other thing as well. All the money in the world couldn't save him, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
than God.
yeah, it's true. All the money in the world couldn't save him. So you're like, what do you do? And ideally, you want to have it. The people that do it the best are the ones that have it all. There's certain success leaves clues in many ways. Have a successful business where you're enjoying life and doing stuff. And I think it's just people have been sold this thing that you have to be in the rat race. I put a quote up the other day. It's like, the problem with being in the rat race is that you're always going to be a rat. You know what I mean? It's like the problem with running the rat race is you're always going to be a rat. It's like run your own race. And that's the thing. There's lots of people out there, especially in today's day and age, so you don't have to do it. And if you are working for one of those businesses like you went to, there's certain things that you can do. You can get up early, you can do some journaling, meditation. When you're at work, you can get up every hour, go for a walk around or go and breathe outside. People take fag breaks. You can go outside and have some fresh air instead. You can have your own food. You don't have to eat in the canteen. If you have got the canteen, you can make healthy options. You can start to, like, in the evening, make sure you're moving. I mean, there's lots of things you can do. You can get a stand-up desk, or you can get a Bosu ball at your desk if you're sitting down a long period of time. It's just like there's lots of things you can do. It just means you've got to break out of the mold that most people are in. I mean, the workplace is becoming like probably more a harder place to navigate, right?
Yeah, I mean, just with all of the technology at workplaces, my gosh, you just walk into a normal office, there's saturation with so much electromagnetic frequencies, it's poisoning us at a cellular level. So if you work in an office, that's going to impede your life force and your longevity in life far more effectively, making your life shorter just because you're constantly around radiation, electromagnetic radiation. So fortunately for people like me and yourself, it's something we can escape. We don't have to work in offices, and we can get out and have more fresh air and all that sort of stuff. So I suppose some people listening to this will say, well, I don't have that option. Well, you do. You're just saying that you don't, because you can be 60 and you can change what you do and create your own business. There are so many people that do it. I remember I read a story years ago about this lady, because people always think that they can't. They always tell themselves why they can't do something rather than why they can. And there was this lady who was born with no arms and no legs, and she raised it's either 3 or 4 children single-handedly, and pardon the pun, because obviously she didn't have hands, but raised 3 or 4 children by herself and had her own business, a successful clothing business that she set up, and she had no arms or legs. And they had videos of her driving her children to school and stuff, and she had a modified car that allowed her to be able to, because she had little stubs for legs and arms, and allowed her to be able to drive her children to school. And she was sewing using her mouth to make the clothes and stuff, and she was able to support 3 or 4 children. Now some people could say, oh well, she's amazing. I'm not. Again, it's a story you're telling yourself. She's probably the worst example you can use the best example you can use for an excuse as to why you can't do something. But yeah, she did.
I always say there's no extraordinary people. There's just ordinary people that do extraordinary things.
Yeah.
And that's just like it's like I put that post out the other day. It's like that poem, playing. It's not the playing small that it's that speech. It's like the thing that scares us the most is that we're powerful beyond belief. But being in your comfort zone is something as well. People get very comfortable when you're in comfort zone. It's either, Tony Robbins talks a lot about this as well. It's like a mindset. It's a shift in your mindset, and it's like 2 ways that generally do that. You have to go through like a shocking. The way it changes people's mindsets like instantly is either to constantly be exposed to an idea, and constantly go and strive for it and constantly like unwavering faith and keep going after it. But the other one that mainly most people get into is like when they have a death or like something like that in the family, it shocks them, makes them realise, oh shit, I should be doing more. Rather than that. But otherwise it's like constant exposure to an idea. And a lot of people don't have that. They're just in the constant conveyor belt of life and they're just going round and round in circles. And one of the things that he talks about, like the six higher, let me have a quick, I've got it down here actually, because we went through this the other day. It's really interesting you brought him up. Let me have a quick look. The 6 higher mental faculties that humans go through, and most people don't really know what they are, or understand what they are. But it's.
Do you mean the conscious competent stuff?
No, this is like
or the 6 stages of action.
No, this is like so he calls them the six higher mental faculties, and it's like they go through. It's like uncertainty, certainty, variety, connection / love, significance and growth, and also a contribution. He talks about those are the things that people need. They need some uncertainty. If you're always certain, he said this. I think it was Carl Jung who said, like, if everything was going right with humans, they had everything they wanted to, they'd find a way to burn the bridge down straight away, because we like to have uncertainty, we like to have that struggle, and through that we have growth. And also they need some certainty. They need some certainty in life that, well, I've got a house here, or I've got a certain amount of food that I know I'm going to have. They need both. Variety. If you keep on having the same thing over and over again, people just lose passion, lose their motivation, lose everything, because you need that variety in life. Also, most people need love. They settle for connection. Most people settle for connection. They want love, but they settle for connection because they don't want to strive for it or be hurt against. And then also that significance and growth, having that significance in their life, which someone else is, and then contributing to the greater good. And then the six still things that people, the 6 higher human needs, just to say. But it's like, and having that is really important, especially like being, and it's very easy to get stuck in a rut, and that's why a lot of people say depressed or anxious, and it's just the way, Robin also talks about how many words are in the English language, and most people, for like joy and like depression, they only have like 12 words that they use, even though there's loads. And he says, I never use the word depression, because it just puts that your mindset in that way of life. There's so many different words that you can use, and most people get caught up in the same thing, and that's why we need variety. So it's really important. Jim Rohn's another one. So many of these things we talk about, and you have to expose yourself to these things day in, day out. It's one of the things I've started to do every day. My morning rituals are huge. Journaling, meditation, hot cold showers. I'm starting to brush my teeth left-handed, writing left-handed. Things to keep on making the brain, having to work and firing up new motor neurons. It's really easy to get into the same habits day in, day out, and when that happens, life becomes repetitive, becomes boring, and then people start getting depressed. And it's like, well, are you depressed, or are you doing things over and over again, not having good food, no sunlight, no water, stuck in the loop? And it makes it easy for people to think it's depression, where it's actually just monotonous life, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I always say that people need to move from reactiveness to proactive. And when you're reacting or reactive, you are simply reacting to life, and that means your life is governed by external stimuli. If it's a car crash, you react. If you need to pay a bill, you react. If you need to lose weight, you react. And a lot of that is driven by the need to escape something, as opposed to those who are proactive and making things happen through a passion, a desire to want to become more, as opposed to reacting to not wanting to be less.
Yeah, 100%. That's why, like, some people have to be uncomfortable. It's like sticking carrot, right? Some people have to be uncomfortable to move forward. With other people, that stick, right? Or like, I'll show you, rather than like a bit more carrot. Like, what can I get after? That's the thing. A lot of people achieve a certain level of success because they use that negative energy to drive them forward, and then when they get to a certain level, they need that again. It's like, well, how do you create? And this is where you need to go after. Have like a vision where you want to be, and keep moving towards that every day. And it's like, you don't have to break your neck every day for it, and burn yourself to the ground for it, but just moving forward every day towards it. And this is the thing, and people let their past results govern their future, even though it's like, it's amazing. Like, it's all mindset. It's easy to get the negative mindset of, oh, I can't achieve that, or I can never do that. But it's like, well, course you can. You just have to put things into place and put things into action and actually believe it. Having unwavering faith. It's like saying that I can never get that because I've never got it in the past. That's like saying, well, a fat person can never become thin because they're always fat, or a rich or poor person can never become rich because they've always been poor. So no, you just got to change your paradigms around it. And this is so it's huge. Even when people come to us, Warren, right? You have to change their paradigms around certain things to understand that you're never going to get what you want doing the same things you've always done.
Insanity, as they say.
I think it's really important, and this is why, but when we talk about navigating the workplace as well, I think one of the things we want to talk about today, really other things would be like navigating it in terms of social constructs around this agenda to sort of like demasculinize men or make everyone. But have this sort of like the offended Olympics that you can't say certain things to certain people. And we was talking about. I said to you the other day that there's 70 or 76 genders on Facebook. I think it might be 71, and it's like being able to. It's a really strange thing. And I think we're going to I think this is going to go more this way until it finally backfires. Like one of the kids the other day got expelled from school for saying there's only 2 genders.
Yeah, as you said, it's 76. It's something that I actually wasn't really aware of until you brought it to my attention a couple of weeks ago. But it's something that this subject matter, where I'm going to go with it, is probably going to be a little bit weird for most people because it's going to tie a lot into a lot of sort of metaphysical sort of stuff as well. But before I actually kind of get into it, I actually wanted to get your views as to why you wanted to talk about it at first, and then we can take it from there.
Well, when it came up, it's sort of things people. I put something on my post the other day, and someone was like, I didn't realise this was a political thing. I thought it was a health channel, and I was like, well, natural health and holistic health encompasses everything. You have to have a broad knowledge of everything. And my issue with it is that it's going to mentally affect people. Like, is in saying that men and women are all the same, like massively negatively affects people in the health perspective. First of all, mental, emotionally, women thinking they have to do certain things that men do, and taking away their feminine, and so a lot of women get ill, endometriosis, ovarian cysts, things like that, ovarian cancer, because they're trying to be everything to everyone, and it's like not realizing that gender is very different. We've got more masculine, we've got a much more robust hormonal profile than women have. We say that men, as Paul would say, men are like pickup trucks, women are like Ferraris. We can smash us to pieces and eventually break down. But women need to be taken more care of because they're meant to have resources for 2. My other thing was like, I just don't understand. Like it's like I put a post saying like the inmates are taking over the asylum. Like this gender, it's like it becomes identity politics. Which I talked to I had another guest on Calvin before, Calvin Wichita, who's a psychic medium. He's a spiritual healer, and he reckons this is going to get worse before it gets better. And it's just a part of like social things of like making. It's like rather than taking responsibility for yourself, you want to play like the oppressed game, like who's the most oppressed, or there's a reason why I'm here, rather than being like, well, this is who I am, this is what I've got, and how do I get myself out of it? Taking this personal responsibility for everything, and just this thing of like. This attack on men, we're meant to be like the patriarchy and how but it's like men are starting to become hugely depressed about it. So I don't know where. I did another podcast with Paul Malt, phenomenal on it. He's got a great ball out called fucking Unstoppable, actually, where he dealt with massive depression. He wanted to jump off a cliff at one point, and he was like, he had to be pulled down from there, and he thought about his children, and it was like men not knowing where they are in society anymore because they're almost feeling guilty for being men and having masculine thoughts, and it's just like. This whole thing, gender's fluid, you've got all these different genders. It's like, no, like you can't magically change your gender. You can't magically change your race. You can't magically change your age. And I understand this is a spectrum of masculine and feminine, and some people are more masculine, some people are more feminine. You've got women that have got masculine traits, and you've got men that have got feminine traits. I understand all that, but your gender remains the same. And it's like it's getting away from biology, getting away from. It's just. I think it's just a recipe for disaster, and it's a recipe for. People just losing themselves massively and just being able to, and just putting and just being able to like, because Calvin said being a spiritual healer, he said moving more towards like socialism. And that's because people don't want to take responsibility for themselves, so they want to blame it on everything else. And it's like, I get that, but it's not a good place to come from in terms of self-development, or even for the collective. I don't think.
Yeah. So.
But sorry, I know. So before you get in, I know you're going to talk about the indigo children, and there's also like, there's also, I mean, you've got the crystal children, the indigo children. You've got different there's different things around that, which would be interesting from your point of view. But yeah, sorry, I just wanted to touch on that from my point of view.
Yeah. So.
Oh, sorry. Go on. Sorry, man. I was going to say one other thing. It was like the other thing is it starts to. Even in America, it's the only place that's got free speech. Over in England, we've got people been put to jail for saying certain things, for offending certain people. A guy who like taught his dog to do the Nazi salute got put away. And now on Twitter, for example, people like Meghan Murphy, who's a known feminist, has got banned from Twitter for saying things like, well, transgender women, I think that means they used to be a man, have started winning all these competitions and started competing in these like Olympic sports and smashing records, and she's put, but men aren't women though, and she got banned. And other people that have got banned for saying something like they got expelled. It's like then it starts to impact speech. And it's something that Jordan Peterson says, like, I won't play it. Like, I'm not playing this game. You're not mandating what I have to say. I'll put me in jail, fine. I'll go on hunger strike. You know, it is what it is. And I think it's important to understand, like, offence isn't given, offence is taken. And there's certain things around this. This is obviously from a health perspective, but also my personal opinion. I think it's just I think it's just a slippery slope, and we're well on the way.
Yeah. So, all right.
Unpack that.
Yeah, no. It's what's interesting is like I said, this is going to be a little bit different. The first thing to address is when we look at actually, I was just going to mention one person, athletes. When you were talking about athletes, there's a lady. I think she's a 800-meter runner, Caster Semenya.
Yeah.
I think she's South African.
South African, yeah, and they've said that she's obviously she's intersex. I think she is.
Yeah,
but obviously there's outliers.
She still has enough rough DNA that makes her a woman. But
even with intersex, there's generally one sex that they are more towards. And look, yes, there are intersex, and they are like they're not. I mean, this is the thing, we're almost changing everything for the outliers. I understand that, and there are outliers, and there are hermaphrodites and stuff, and that's fine. And that's not an issue. It's not about them. It's about majority of the people.
Yeah. So I was just bringing that up just because of the whole mapping system. But whereas people say she is a man, genetics has proven that she isn't. And whenever people have all these opinions, because we're going to address this 76 gender sort of thing. So the first thing we look at is you have a lot of men. So let's look at that Kardashian guy, Jenner. I forget his name.
Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah.
It should be Bruce Jenner.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
I just dead named someone, by the way.
Say again.
I've just dead named someone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard that term recently as well. Yeah. So when we look at someone like him, and we go back into unmet needs and unresolved traumas in people's lives, and we start to understand that the soul itself has no gender, and that's something that first of all people have to understand. Soul is energy. Energy isn't male or female. It has no gender. When you just look at it as just energy. So obviously we know that when we are light beings before we come into the physical body, we choose our appearance and choose the gender that we're going to occupy, as well as the life that we're typically going to have. So if we're light beings, we are soul or spirit beings. Without a body, we choose our appearance and the body we want. So sometimes we have incarnated as males, and sometimes we've incarnated as females. So the point here is that we choose whatever experience or any experience that we want to have. Or sometimes with the Bruce Jenner guy, who's now transgendered into a woman, you have people like him who picked a life as a male, but was unhappy. There was unmet needs that were never completed. And he went through having 5 children or whatever it is. He went to the Olympics. He was the most masculine man you could have. He went into physical sports and he competed at an elite level to the point where he was an Olympic champion. And he fathered 4 or 5 children. He had a very masculine physique, he was very strong, he had a very deep voice and all this sort of stuff. And you got to think, well, at 60 or whatever age, I know it's quite late, at 60 odd, he had this revelation that he never actually wanted to be a man. He actually wanted to be a woman, and thus wanted to go through the sex change. And people obviously had a go at him. But when you see people like that, you have to look at what is the trauma, what are the unmet needs, what other things were being unresolved for that person to be able to be so unconscious about the choice that they wanted to be a female and live a life of a man for such a long period of time. So basically my point here is there are a lot of people that are confused as to what their life's path is supposed to be. And they think the best way to reset that is to change their gender, and they go through some form of operation. That's one facet, and we can discuss that in more detail in a minute, but that's one facet of this whole 76 different genders sort of thing. Some of it is operational. Typically, gender is what we call binary, and that's just male or female. But if you go back to ancient times, to ancient Egypt, Sumeria, you've obviously heard of the term hermaphrodite. Mm. And when you break down the word hermaphrodite, it's her morph in dite. So it basically means her morphing into a he, hermaphrodite. So morphing, as we know, morph means to change. So it's her morphing into him, which is what hermaphrodite means. And then you have hemorphodite, which is him transforming into her. A lot of this is, even though the soul has no gender, back in the day you had beings that were what we call bi or dual gender beings who could vibrate on 2 different frequencies, because males and females actually have a different vibrational frequency, as you kind of touched on, when they have this whole thing about men from Mars and women from Venus. Yeah. And men and women don't really understand each other that much. And a lot of studies have shown that actually, in terms of choices, actions, habits, viewpoints in life, men and women actually only have a 4% difference in their total viewpoint on life. But it's that 4% that makes men and women think they are so different. Like, a man will say, I just don't understand women. And women say, I just don't understand men. But it's actually, based on all the studies they've done, it's actually only 4% difference in the choices and actions and stuff, but we battle over those things. So the point is, we are far more similar than we think. And that is proven by this whole understanding of there are beings that are around thousands of years ago that were classed as dual gender beings, hermaphrodites and hemorphrodites. And what that shows is that depending on the ratio of what influences us, we can tip towards the male or female. We know that in the womb, a child is neutrogender for the first 4 or 5 months, and then the genitalia start to change, and then the child in the womb becomes male or female. Now, there are reasons for that, because when the child is born in the womb, it's making a decision as to whether it wants to be male or female.
It's making a decision. You mean like the soul is, the spirit is? Yeah,
it's making that decision.
So this is, as you say, people might be, this is weird, but I know Paul talked about this over there in his podcast about how he spoke to his second child. Yeah.
Zoe.
Yeah.
Mana.
Yeah, before he come. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Anyway.
Yeah. So science has shown, again, people thinking, well, this is a bit weird, but the Tibetans were shown, they have drawings and pictures showing thousands of years ago that they knew that the fetus imprinted itself genetically in the womb a year before the child was born. So the soul energetically, now scientists have actually proven it, because they've actually taken video footage of women's wombs that weren't pregnant, but they actually saw an energetic imprint of a fetus. And then the woman got pregnant a year later. And the Tibetan masters were saying this thousands of years ago. So the point is that the soul incarnates in the body before the physical body is even prepared. So at that point, they're making decisions as to what they want, what experience they want to have. So going back to what we were saying, in the womb, they're neutral gender until they get to about anywhere between 4 and 5 months. And then the DNA explosions change, and then the genitalia start to show up. And that's why, normally they say, we can tell you the gender of the child at a certain point, but right now we don't know the gender of the child. And then they go and they get a certain scan and they say, do you want to know the gender of the child? Because now they figured it out. Because now the genitalia manifests, and that's based on the DNA explosion. But that is driven by the choice of the soul. So the point here is we can become male or female at any point based on vibrational frequency of the soul. What you see with hermaphrodites and hemaphrodites are at a specific point, these children can be born as dual gender beings. So that is, in essence, a third gender. So when people say there are 76 genders, well, in reality, there are 3 different genders, one being the dual gender, and then one being male and one being female. Outside of that, there are multiple variations that have been created by society to confuse people. That's a slightly different thing. The next thing with regards to gender itself, even though we said there's 3 particular types, you can actually split the 2 male females into 4. So you can have a man and then a woman, and then you can have a masculine female and a feminine male. But it's not really gender, it's just emotion that dictates the characteristic of the male or female. So the gender hasn't changed. It's just the masculinity, the masculine element of that person dictates whether they act male or female. Just like how we know if somebody's lesbian and there's 2 women, one of the women in a relationship is the masculine element of the relationship. They're both still women. But because one of them has the masculine element, they're saying that, well, that's actually the masculine element is one aspect of splitting the female into 2, when it's really not. It's just the emotional actions that make them think, well, now you've got 2 different genders. So I know this is all getting confusing, but the point is a lot of this whole 76 gender thing is relating to how someone emotes, how they express the use of the vehicle they call the physical body. So you have men that are very feminine, such as Prince. Prince was a very beautiful man, and men would say it and women would say it, and he was very feminine, but he was still a man. But some people nowadays would label that a specific gender, and that's where we're getting all this confusion from, where characteristic traits and the way someone expresses themselves and the tone of their voice and the body language that they express are determined and labeled to say, well, that's a man, but he's acting like a woman, so he fits one of these different gender types. And that's just creating so much confusion today, where now they've gotten to this point where they're saying there's 76 different genders, and there really aren't. It's really 3, but the actions are creating differences.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% understand. And this is what you said, like before, like about us being, men and women are, they're more similar than we are different, because we're human. But it's like when Jordan Peterson talks about it, he says, you said, who's the most aggressive out of men and women, and you pick the man, 60% of the time, you'd be right. 6 out of 10, and that's not a lot. 4 times you'd be wrong, 60% of the time you'd be right. But if you picked the most aggressive man out of 100, the most aggressive person out of 100, it would be male every time. That's why the prisons are full of men. And it's the same as like it's like they tried to say, oh, it's a societal thing. It's like, well, no, they proved this in Norway and the Scandinavian countries where they tried to take away gender roles for jobs, and what happened? All the gender roles actually went back to they were more women nurses, more men were out there being. And this is the thing, like men do generally more dangerous jobs, and you don't see many women laying bricks, or working on oil rigs, or or fighting fires. It's just because it's a masculine energy that generally does it, and they thought it would change. And there's no, and this is like left wing psychologists, and there's no right wing psychologists out there really doing this. And they said they couldn't believe it. Like, more men went to masculine jobs, more women went to feminine jobs. And it's because that's our energy, right? That's the reason why women, me and you are in an industry where generally it's more women dominant, because we're taking care of people. Men usually like things, and women usually like people. It's like if you look at the nursing industry, generally it's men, right? Generally it's women. And so I get what you're saying, and this is the thing. Like, I completely understand. And during that spectrum, there is, as you said, like you can have a masculine woman with a feminine man, or you can have a masculine woman with a masculine man. But then you get clashes, and this is why like relationships sometimes end, or some relationships work and they don't, because you might have a sexual attraction, but long term, is it viable? And I get what you're saying, and I think this whole like 76 gender thing, it's just, the worst thing is like, I identify as this, and it's like, well,
it's just another label that causes confusion.
Well, it's also the fact that if you misgender someone, it can seem as aggressive term, you can be put in jail. In certain countries, there's the thing where you can't misgender someone, or you get deplatformed off of Twitter or Facebook, and it gets to the point where, with me and you can't start speaking the truth. It starts at this. When does it start saying, well, I start saying medicine's not going to be able to heal your gut issue? Oh, that's offensive. Deplatform me. This is the problem. It's a slippery slope, and this is what happens. It gets down to where you start mandating speech and things. Yeah. And that's the problem. I get what you're saying from a spiritual perspective. 100% understand that.
There's more to it as well.
But from a social perspective, just in everyday conversations, it's like if I went to you, Warren, he did this. Oh, you just called me he. It's like, because you look like a man. So I'm going to call you he. If someone says, I'm not going to call someone what they want to be called, but it's like just accidentally saying the wrong pronoun. It's ridiculous, because at the end of the day, what give it? If you looked at me, you'd say, him. I'd hope anyway. So it's just like, it just becomes a point where this sort of like social construct, it becomes ridiculous over the biological, and it's
So again,
no, I was going to say, and that's just like where it just sort of like makes me roll my eyes and just think, what's going on here? Like, we need to have a little bit of common sense about things.
Yeah, and ultimately, what it's also doing from a connection point of view is it's disconnecting us from the whole, because nowadays, as you're saying as well, we know that there's only, as they say, there's only one race on the planet, the human race. But now, with all of this separation, it's creating more divides, because now there are more things for people to argue about, such as what you said. I'm not a male. I am gender. I'm going to look at this list now. I am trans female. No, I'm trans male. No, I'm trans person. Don't call me that. I'm trans feminine. I'm transgender. I'm transgender man. I'm transgender woman. I'm trans masculine. I'm just reading this list that they got here. I'm transsexual man. So now it's just giving humans more things to argue about. And what does that create? Divide. And what does divide create? Control.
Yeah, that was the thing I was going to get into. And it's like, this is an agenda, right, which has been pushed out there. This is what Jason Christoff talks about a lot, the demasculination agenda, because when you get rid of all the actual alpha males, or when they haven't got a voice, it's easy to take over society, and it's control. It's easy to control people. And like all those things you said there, it's like you also said about something that you realised when you went back to the conversation you had 10 years ago about the indigo children.
Yeah. I just wanted to finish on something before we get to that.
Go for it.
We're talking about women and the roles, and men in the roles. I remember I was listening to something back in the 90s. This is probably like the last time I ever went to Carnival. And there was a DJ, and he was like saying, so what's all this new age woman thing? He goes, what does that mean? You can't cook, you can't clean? It was quite funny at the time. And people took offense to it. But it's like, women do have specific roles and men do have specific roles. And if a man says that to a woman, he's being sexist. But like you said at the start, women have their bodies are built for two. Is that sexist? No, it's fact. Women have more well, actually, it's actually the fact that men have more taste buds than women, but that's crazy.
Also, their central nervous systems. Like most of us couldn't take the pain of childbirth.
Yeah, there's studies have proven that no man can take the pain a woman can when it comes to childbirth. A man would die. Is that sexist?
Yeah,
sexist for a man to say, your body's built to have a child, mine isn't. So I'm built for war and yours is, and you're not. Is that sexist? It's not sexist. We have different roles, and there's nothing wrong with that. And now we're just finding ways to find adversity and again create separation and control.
Yeah, it's just like when you put out a chair for a lady or you stand up to let her sit down, it's not because you're being patronising. It's because you're understanding they're the crown jewels. They're the fairest sex that need to be looked after. That's why we went out and hunted, and they didn't. That's what Paul says. When we went to war, the crops went up 40% in yield because they're much more nurturing than us. And they're much better at that. They should. And it's just because we can. The only reason they used to be farmers, then when the mechanical machinery come in, they couldn't handle. Then we started becoming farmers, men, and it's like. It's just amazing. It amazes me that people don't use this brain. It's like, you can't. It's like social conscious. It's like when you just. It just baffles me that people can even have a different opinion on that. And it's like they don't actually like to look at. They like to. It happens a lot on TV. They say women and men, the patriarchy, and it's that other. It's like John Peterson destroys that all the time. He talks about the amount of jobs that men do that are dangerous, or like the reason why it's like men haven't oppressed women. Men and women have both been oppressed, and they work better as a team. And it's not like. And it's like there's a reason why men have these higher paying jobs. It's not because women can't do it. It's because men are crazy. There's a certain amount of men that will work any amount of hours possible to get those jobs. When women at a certain age, they go, well, actually, I want a family. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like it's just crazy. You can see, and they go, well, does that mean women couldn't do those jobs? It's like, no, of course they could, but the majority of women aren't like that. We're talking about in terms of massive statistics. Yes, there are outliers, and of course, there are women that can do it, and there's great women that can do lots of stuff. But it's like the strongest man will always be stronger than the strongest woman because of the way we're set up, and it's just the way it is.
And that's just the same with what I was going to lead to before we got into the Indigo stuff, which was this whole thing about Russian woman syndrome. And sometimes I say that people say, "What do you mean Russian as in the country?" I'm like, no, Russian as in rushing around. Russian woman syndrome. And this is something that has been put out recently, over the last 10 years typically by women in the health industry that have studied this phenomenon. And it basically talks about how most women nowadays that are trying to compete with men in the way men compete are in this Russian woman syndrome mode where they are a woman becoming a man. They have this saying where you don't need a man, you are a man. And this is something that Paul Chek often says as well. There's a lot of women today who they have neglected having children because they want to match men in the workplace, and they've offset. Whereas a man can just work 50, 60, 70 years and not take a year off to raise a child if he has a wife. Or if a woman wants to have a child, she typically would take that time off. One, because having a child is so challenging and traumatic to the body that they need time off. It's not a woman being weak, because like we've already said, men would die from the same act that they do. But they need the time to recover because they're basically holding a human in their body for 9 months. And then they need
to recover for that afterwards as well, right?
Yeah, they've got to recover after that. So a lot of women that want to match the man's role rather than being a strong woman, they go into this Russian woman syndrome, and their child becomes their workplace instead of actually having a child. And they give up their femininity to live in a masculine dominated workplace. So for all the women that are listening right now, we are not saying women belong at home. None of us have said that. What we're saying is this whole feminist movement isn't about making women become men. It's about making women be the strongest women in their role and have men being the strongest men in their role. Would it be bad for men to say, well, I want to be able to have children as well as women. I want to be able to bear a child. Yeah. Women would be like, don't be silly. That's a woman's role. Oh, okay. So it's okay for that to be a woman's role. Yeah. It's genetically impossible for a man. Okay, yeah, great. But what if we all started pushing, no, it's not fair. Men should have a year off work as well as women. That would be seen as, no, you're stepping in the realm of what is right for a woman. And if a man says it, it's seen as sexist when it's written.
No, I've had women say that to me, oh, men should be able to do that, but why should I have to stay at home? It's like, you shouldn't have to, but it's like, it's in your
That's your
nature.
calling.
It's your
That's your
nature
calling.
too. Yeah, it's your nature too. And it's also like men bringing up a child, and they love to me go, oh, things change, and then they're like, oh, you're so stuck in like old ways. I'm like, I don't think you understand about energy, yin and yang. Like, you don't get rid of millions of years of genetics and the way we are because we've got an iPhone. I say this a million times. We've got Wi-Fi. It's 2019. Come and join us. It's like, well, no, there's always a reason why women can give birth and are much more nurturing and should be taking care of the child certain times, and men should be doing certain things. You've got different energy. It's like, that's why.
That's called teamwork.
Yeah, teamwork. And like, but if a man brings up a child on his own, the person is going to be a lot different energy around that child, brought up a lot of different ways. And they need both. Women also like protecting the child, with a man to be rough and tumble. And there's lots of different things around it. And you said before, this is the other thing. They say, oh, a man has baby. It's like, no, a woman has baby. She decided that she wants to be a man now. It's like transgender man gives birth. It's like woman gives birth. Who now says that she's a man. It's like men can't give birth. Like that's and that's why women have such a great connection with their children. Right, most of them.
They're the best teachers, the first teachers.
Right, that bond is like, he's always saying Danny's little girl, but it's pretty. It's like mummy's boy. But let's be honest, women men and let's say girls and boys have a bond with their mums it's very different to what they have with their dads. It's like, it's unspoken energy.
It's the yin and yang. It's the difference. It's the balance between the two. Paul was explaining that a woman should bond with her son, and a man should bond with his daughter to balance the energies. They talk about mummy's boy. Well, if you do connect more with the mother, then a man typically has a healthy respect for women. But if he's raised by or focuses more on staying with his father, not always, but in a lot of cases, men tend to have less respect for women, and those are the type of people who may go into the army or do very masculine things and shun women as being, well, women are physically weak, so they're not as important as men. Right. Whereas if you were raised in the way where you stuck with your mother, you would have such respect for women. It's just like...
But I was going to say, this is what really winds me up when people say, like, when we say these things, people say you're sexist. It's like, I don't really understand. My mum is one of the strongest women I've ever known. She's got things that me and her have got such a great connection. I couldn't respect anyone more, and she's so loving as well. But she's got things so right, and I bond with her. Like, I love me and my dad have got great connection. One of the best people I know. I mean, he's the best man I know. But like, in terms of my mum, and it's like when people say, "Oh, you're sexist, you're being mean to women." It's like, are you joking me? I got this from my mum, who I respect women so much. And when I say this, I'm saying it because I respect them and I want them to be healthy and happy, and not try and be something they don't need to be. It's like, I always got taught to pull out a chair for a lady, or to open the car door for them, or to carry their groceries, or whatever it is. That's what we got taught.
Yeah. So with it's like when men. If they have a daughter, they become so protective. More so, they often say it's different when I have a girl child than when I had a boy child. I'm far more protective of the girl child simply because I know how men are, and they don't want to have those men that are not raised by their feminine energies disrespect feminine women. So they're very protective of that. So that's why it's so important for men to spend a lot of time around women, to have a real positive, powerful, respectful connection to women. And also, in the same respect, it's also important for a woman or a girl to connect to her father, so that she has enough masculine traits as well. So she's strong enough to defend herself, strong enough to speak up, and comfortable enough to put men in their place because they are constantly around men. Like an example, when I teach boxercise courses, where you're just teaching boxing fitness to personal trainers who would then teach it in classes, oftentimes a lot of the women pair up with women because they don't want to hold pads for a man because they're scared of the power difference. And I often say to them, well, you're wanting to be a personal trainer. So let's say you go to the gym and a man wants to be your client. Are you going to expect him to hit softly when he works with you, when he's paying you to have a workout? No, he's only interested in his workout. So your goal is to make him work hard. You do that by allowing him to punch really hard. If you're not used to working with a man, you don't know what it feels like. So you need to have that exposure. So in both respects, there's a role to play for men to be softened and respectful, for women to be hardened and leaders and teachers and having that masculine energy. So that's why it's about this balance between the two. But as we said, getting back to the 76 gender thing, is now who knows what role you're supposed to play when you're so confused about what label you've given yourself. If you're a transgender something, where do you offset your masculine and feminine energies to know what type you should be? It's confusing. And this leads into what we were talking about with the indigo children or the crystal children or the children of Aquarius, lots of different titles. Well,
aren't they different? Aren't they different? Crystal children have been said to say that indigo children have a lower vibration than crystal children, for example.
Yeah, but what I mean is the children that are here to save the world.
Right.
And so I was just going to say that what we know is when we study ancient stories by our ancestors, that there's always a planetary shift, and everyone on the planet, whether they think this is, people listen to this think it's woo-woo or not, every single person on the planet knows that the planet overall has been getting worse and that things need to change. Everyone at some inherent level knows that things need to change. Whether they express it or not is up to them, but they all know. And we know that everybody feels that there is a shift coming. There are more and more people doing things like what we're doing, what Tony Robbins is doing, and Deepak Chopra and Paul Chek and all these sort of people. There are people that are raising themselves to be thought leaders and teachers and guides, trying to help elevate the consciousness of the planet so that we get back to remember what we used to know. Because that's all it is. That's why it's all about the past. We're trying to reclaim our prior information, and all the truth is in the past, which we forget. Like when you said, people nowadays think we're advanced because we have iPhones. Well, there's a saying, 10 years of ignorance can override 100 years of truth. And we're forgetting what we used to know because we're living in the present and not focusing on the past, which is our teachers and guides, our ancestors.
10 years of ignorance can
overrides 100 years of truth. Yeah. And so when we look at the past, and we know that our ancestors taught that thousands of years ago, we were in this state of pure health, happiness, bliss, spirituality. And then we went into the dark ages and all sorts of stuff, and we started to become more animalistic and barbaric, and all of these wars and lust for money and bloodlust and all that sort of stuff, and worship of money, consumerism and all that sort of stuff. But we know that the planet is shifting back to global consciousness, and that's where all these new children are coming in. The children that are being born now in what we call the age of Aquarius are the children that are going to help save humanity. And we know that the planet goes through planetary shifts every 6,000 years. There is a change, and that's why we are in the age of Aquarius. So basically, in simple terms, so we've got the zodiac signs. There's 12 signs, as we know. The 12 signs take 25,920 years. So basically, let me just make it really simple. So the solar system rotates around the central vortex. So we have the solar system, we have all the planets that rotate around the sun, but the solar system actually rotates. And as it rotates, it actually moves through the 12 signs of the zodiac. So hence why we all are born under different signs. So but for the whole universe to go through the 12 seats of the zodiac, it actually takes 25,920 years. And we are now, as science has proven, we are now right at the start of that 25,000 year cycle again. From the year 2000, we got into the new equinox, which is why they say it's the age of Aquarius. It's the first of those 12 star signs again. So that means we have come full circle. And that's why we're now talking about these crystal children or indigo children. We're now back at the start where we are reclaiming our lost knowledge. And the easiest way for the governments in the world that control this to stop it is to confuse us with all these labels. So the indigo children that are being raised are different to normal children. The crystal children are all different to normal children. They see things differently because they see things from more of a metaphysical sense. They're seen as being weird. Sometimes when we see people that are on the street and that they're talking to themselves, or people think they're crazy, but they're not crazy. They just can't fit in with a sick society. And the best way to stop the change happening for the governments that just want to focus on money is to create labels that confuse everyone. So part of this whole 76 genes or genders thing is to create even more confusion so that those guided children don't actually know or remember that the reason why they're different is because they are the chosen ones. It would be so much easier to identify them based on their characteristics if we only had 2 or 3 genders. But because now we have 76, it's become confusing, so it's harder for us to identify them and then properly guide them so they can fulfill their roles as the change makers on the planet. That's basically what it is.
So what do we do? Because there's a lot more people getting this way inclined and speaking this language, and it feels like it's really splitting, dividing the nations. I mean, America's already gone; it's coming more over here now. But it's what can we do to offset this, or where do you see this going?
Well, as I think you said earlier, it has to get worse before it gets better. As Paul Chek said, and I think we might have mentioned this before, we need people like Donald Trump in power to be a glaring image of why the world is worse. We need to have these sort of bold or obvious mistakes that we've made to have it be a mirror to us to show us how bad our decision making has been.
I don't. Yeah, but with Donald Trump, I think he's a reaction to this starting. This is the thing, like, and when you look at what he's done for America, yeah, he's a bit of a worry, but the unemployment levels have completely changed, and then more black people ever are in jobs. More people got housing. He's done lots of good things. The economy's booming over there compared to what it was before. He gets a lot of stick and whatever, but I think his reaction to this whole offended sort of narrative, and it's like, who else can they get? I mean, this is why probably when I don't know. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I get what you're saying. Like you have to shine a light on what's going. Like you have to go through the time. That's why you had to see Hitler to realise what was going wrong, right? Or
exactly.
People like that.
Yeah,
but I mean, Donald Trump's can't even not even near Hitler. No, as in joking me, aren't you? Like him saying build a wall is
Mexico and stuff.
Yeah, but it's like illegal immigrants. He's not talking about actual immigration. It's like people say, he said build a wall, it's going to cost £20 billion. It's like, yeah, but illegal immigrants cost America £160 billion a year, so dollars a year. So you're 140 billion up, and he's not talking about all immigrants. He's talking about something, and this is the thing. Like certain people like Obama actually put these policies in place before he went into office, and they were going, but people don't understand that. So when people talk about certain individuals, it's sort of, that's a political game, and left and the right are all part of the same thing. Really.
Yeah, but I mean, what I mean is, irrespective of the viewpoint of whether people think he's good or bad, the fact that people don't like him but yet voted him in is a mirror to us.
That's every politician ever, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, he got so much hate, but yet was voted, and he got such a reaction. I'm sure you're aware of when he became the president, they said that 90% of America just tried to apply to go to Canada. Yeah. I'm like, why are you applying to go to Canada? Weren't you one of the people that actually voted him in? That's what I mean. It cast a light on your stupidity that you actually voted in someone you didn't want. How stupid are you then? It doesn't matter if what he does after that is good. What matters is you didn't like the idea that he got voted in, but you would want the people that voted him in. Yeah. That's showing you how unconscious your behaviors are. It's like people that are surprised that they're fat when they eat rubbish all the time. Like, that's a mirror to you as well. How unconscious can you be to make choices that you don't like but still make them? So in that sense, Donald Trump's a mirror, because he's the example of what people said they didn't want but yet voted him in.
I mean, I completely understand where you're coming from. Yeah. It's like, that's the same as you said in all walks of life. Like, it's like your results of what you're doing get mirrored back to you. Like, maybe not straight away, but they do get mirrored back further down the line, and people need to understand that. And it's a really interesting thing. It's like politics is a hard one as well, because mostly, like, at a deeper level, I honestly believe, I think it's Mark Twain who said, if voting made the difference, I don't think they'd let you do it. It's all like part of the same thing. But then like it's hard to have any discussion about anything without talking about politics, because like even with this 5G that's coming up, like there's loads of politicians on it, and it's like, you live in London, mate. Like,
well, I live in Kent, but yeah.
Yeah, but you're nearer the centre than I am, and they're rolling that stuff out, and it's. I mean, have you got the new Aries Tech stuff? They've got the 5G stuff.
They've got a 5G one, yeah. I mean, I saw someone posted a video on YouTube about with a tree somewhere in the UK. It wasn't London. I don't know if you've seen it.
Gateshead, I think that was.
Yeah, and so you've obviously seen it, and half the tree's leaves were dead, and the other half of the tree wasn't, and the leaves that were dead, and the leaves on the side closest to the 5G pillar. It's crazy.
I mean, yeah.
What it's doing to the world.
I mean, I had a guy, I said, one of the people once, one of my mate's posts talked about it, and I was like, saying that's actual nonsense conspiracy theory. I was like, well, I've interviewed Dr. Deborah Davis about this, the world's leading authority. Have a listen to this. He's like, oh, she's a conspiracy theorist as well, just out there to sell books. I was like, she's a conspiracy theorist. I know, she's a conspiracy theorist of one person when you've got these companies that are 5 times more powerful than Big Pharma. They've got trillions of pounds looked up in this stuff, and you think she's the conspiracy theorist. It's like it's just like, where are people? It's like people learn the hard way, and I just don't know what we can do about it. So trying to, I mean, you need to get some sort of big protest. It's what I say, don't worry about all these things like protesting Trump. How about you get out there and protest this? This is the stuff that's going to cook your infant alive from the inside out.
Yeah, was it you that posted that thing on AirPods on Instagram?
It wasn't me. I've seen it though, yeah. But that's true, right?
Yeah. I mean, I thought that before I saw it. It's awful.
Well, just say for people out there that haven't seen it, I mean, it's like, it talks about how, I mean, Apple as well, these big companies, they go into, it's like Dr. Chris Kresser said the other day, it's like, people think that the iPhone's their product. No, we're their product. They study us. They study how cults are developed, and how they can make you think you need this stuff, and the AirPod as well goes straight into your ears, and the frequency straight into the brain. It's like, it's why one of the people put this. My mate was doing a video the other day, and it's like, why would you listen to this guy? He can't even afford wireless earphones. And I was like, he doesn't want brain cancer. You absolute moron. And do you know what I mean? This is where we live in. Such a superficial world in certain other ways, and it's a problem. I mean. At a deeper level, Warren, do you think I had this discussion with my friend the other day, and he said, no, it's not like that. And I said, at some part of me feels like, without being too doomsday, you just go out there and you do the best you can, you enjoy your life and you have fun, but do you think that the best is over?
No, it's like what I was saying just now, we are at the start of it all again. And that's why that whole saying kind of encapsulates what your friend just said about, well, the guy can't be very smart, he hasn't got wireless headphones. It goes back to that thing of 10 years of ignorance overrides 100 years of truth. The ignorance is that it's dangerous, and that we should be using wireless stuff. It's just so crazy. But Ken Wilber, I'm sure you know who Ken Wilber is.
Yeah.
And for those listening, make sure you look him up. I mean, he's one of Paul sees him as one of his mentors, so we all know how amazing Paul Chek is with knowledge. That if he has him as a mentor, this guy is deep. Yeah, so Ken Wilber,
he's like a trans personal psychologist, isn't he? He's like he's got his own theories about it. I mean, he's interviewed Jordan Peterson as well, I think. But yeah, go on.
So he basically said, in order for there to be a planetary shift of consciousness, at least 7%, we need to get to a 7% rate of awareness on people on the planet. Once we will hit 7%, we'll have a global transformation. Everyone will wake up just from 7%. And you might think, what, only 7%? But I was saying to someone the other day,
ripple effect, right? It's like me and you doing this.
Yeah. And we think about it. We know that 95% of the world's wealth is owned by 5% of the population. So that's only 5%, and only 5% run the world. So if only 5% run the world, why is it inconceivable to think that only 7% can change the world? It's conceivable. Mm-hmm. And he said right now we're at about 4.5%. So it's getting closer, and more people are waking up. So I don't know how long it will take for us to get to that 7%, if it's 15 years or 20 years. It might start accelerating quicker because more and more things are happening at such a explosive rate in terms of obvious bad things that people may be having to go through that dark night of the soul sooner than we would think and wake up faster. Like we know nowadays, more and more people are starting to realize that the governments are creating crops that are not real, that that there is no cure for cancer in the medical field, and that in order for you to heal all of these illnesses, you have to take responsibility for yourself. And people are seeing that stuff far more and more. We know that people are choosing to go private when it comes to health rather than going through some national body far more nowadays than we used to. So we know these things are changing. More and more books are being written. More and more people are getting on podcasts on wellness. So we know it's changing, it's growing. It's just how fast it happens and how long it takes us apart. We don't know yet.
No, 100%. It's I'm with you there, man. It's just we just got to keep doing our thing and just protect ourselves as much as possible. And that's all you can do, go out there, live your life, be happy, because you say the stress of worrying about these things is worse than what goes on. But you have to be aware of these things and educate yourself so you can
make informed decisions.
Yeah, make informed decisions, like getting things like Aries Tech or getting the whole house full filtration system, so you can just like reduce your toxic exposure as much as possible. And if all these vibrations live on a different level, it's really, really important, because there is lots going on that we have to be wary about. But it just means like living the four doctors even more, right?
Yeah. Again, it's as we always talk about, there's a difference between having to and choosing to. And now we have choices in our hands about what we choose. As Paul says, if you don't buy it, they can't sell it.
100%, yeah.
Powerful, man. It's so true. If we just stop buying these things, who can they sell it to?
Well, sometimes people don't think they have other options. For example, the farmers, they're buying Roundup because they didn't think they'd have other option, but now they know there's other options. Monsanto are being completely wiped out. I think they've got 11,000 cases already pending on them for cancer. They'll be wiped out 100%. And I saw something the other day. We talk about radionics. Have you seen the company Rootwave? No. So radionics. So Paul was talking about in the 1960s. I think it was they started to use the frequencies to get rid of like weeds and other things rather than putting chemicals on the plants, and it got taken away because the government said, you can be used as a weapon. Whereas there's actually a company out now called Rootwave who are doing the same thing in the UK, which is wicked. They're starting to use frequencies to be able to get rid of weeds, etc., rather than destroying our soils. So it's a big thing. But mate, it's been a great discussion. Anything else you want to add?
No, just I suppose just for all of the people that are listening, test everything. Listen to your internal consciousness, your awareness about what's right and what's wrong, and start making decisions based on informed decisions and doing enough studying and research. The information is out there, and we just need more of you listeners to become aware enough to make choices. So we're not telling you what to do, we're just asking you to start researching and not believing in the corporations, because ultimately their goal is to make money, not to help you. And as the CEO, and I know you know this, because you might have even been the one that posted this a couple of years ago, that the CEO of GlaxoSmithKline said, we're not interested in health, we're interested in profit. When you see stuff like that posted publicly and people still buy from them, that's when we have to start choosing the right thing to do.
Yeah, 100%. It's just got to be aware. The more you're aware, the more you understand, and it becomes. I think it was like Michael Tessarian. Do you know Michael Tessarian?
Sounds familiar.
He's wicked. He's like a truther. He's brilliant. He said, like, the thing isn't sometimes to switch off from all this stuff. It's to be aware and look at it and realise and laugh at it when it comes up, and you understand what they're trying to do, how they're trying to manipulate you. Because once you're aware, it's like the Matrix stuff. Once you're aware, you can see what's going on, and it's huge. Well, my man, thank you for that discussion. I think we touched on a lot of good topics, and we went deep, and people out there as well. It's interesting because, I say people, as Paul says, don't believe us, go out there and do the research for yourself. Especially Ken Wilber, go out there and listen to his stuff. He's wicked. But I'll definitely be getting you back on, my man. Have a great day, and thanks for coming on.
No worries, man. Thanks.
So, guys and girls, that was Warren Williams, and good chat there. First of all, about corporate wellness, really, really interesting, going into all things about that, because I think it's a world, the productivity of people will go so Well, it would just increase by such an extraordinary amount if they took things like their health into consideration. Even things like afternoon naps and just having time to think and maybe doing some meditation, eating good stuff. Coffee's going to do nothing. Coffee is what we call, Red Indians call it empty fire. It gives you the illusion of energy, but it actually robs you of your life force. Things like that, you don't need these things. You need things that are going to give you actual energy. Greens drinks, good quality food, having time to actually eat your food, and sit down. And then it's amazing what happens when you give people time to let their mind wander, what can come up with. Good, great creative people with best. Ever found that your best thinking or best thoughts come in the shower when your mind's completely in a relaxed state and you're not thinking about anything else, or you're not thinking about the million one things you've got to do? It's amazing some of the thoughts you can have. And then just your productivity, if I can speak, is, goes through the roof when you're actually rested instead of completely exhausted. So, yeah, it's really interesting. Then going into the gender topic, go back through that again if you want. Pick out the piece and pick out the bones. But I think this whole topic's going, it's getting ridiculous. And the point of it, someone said to me the other day, I thought this is a health channel, not a political channel. And the thing is, it's got a lot to do with everything, because if you start mandating what people can say on one topic, then it's slippery slope when it comes to other topics. And then people like myself, who obviously go against the mainstream anyway, all of a sudden our speech will be governed, and that'll never happen. As Jordan Peterson said, do that to me, I won't do it. Fine me, I won't pay it, and then put me in prison. I'll go on hunger strike. I'm not being mandated what I can and can't say, especially when what you can say can really help the lives of millions of people that are suffering with health issues, etc. And they've already started to try and do it on Google. A lot of people have come off Facebook because they don't like the algorithms and what's happened there. So CrossFit's come off, Natural News has come off. I think Makoda's been taken off. This is dangerous times, so be careful, people. If you don't like something, it doesn't mean that you should want to censor that, because sooner or later something you like will be censored, and then you'll be in trouble. Otherwise, guys, if you are going through a health issue and you haven't had any luck overcoming it, and you want some help and you'd like a program to see you through that, then you can either send me an email at Ryan at reviveyourself.co, or you can head on over to www.reviveyourself.co and click on the contact me section, fill out the form, and I'll be in touch with you as soon as possible so we can book a free call to see if and how we can help you. I should say. Otherwise, that's it for this week, guys. Have a great week. Keep enjoying the summer. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
If you're struggling with gut issues, such as gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, indigestion, heartburn, and want to finally be able to eat the foods you love without the crippling after effects, then don't forget to head over to reviveyourself.co and pick up your free copy of The Healing Health Paradigm today.